So while this wraps up the events of the day, there are big things that, of course, are lined up for tomorrow as well. The grand celebrations continue across the United Kingdom. There are multiple events and street parties that are expected on Sunday as part of the Coronation Big Launch. The evening, of course, will see a coronation concert at the Windsor Castle, which, of course, will be headlined by the likes of Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, etc. And Britons will, of course, then enjoy an extra day off on Monday, topping off the pretty long weekend. Now, apart from being a bank and a school holiday, the public has also been encouraged to use the extra holiday to volunteer in their respective communities. So this is how the United Kingdom, of course, is celebrating the coronation of their king, King Charles III. And to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, has happened through the day, we are being joined in by my colleague Molly Gambhir. We also have Vikram Chandra, who is also joining us from London. And we also have Cameron Walker, who is the royal correspondent for GB News. He's also joining us live on this broadcast. But Molly, let me begin with you first. You've been tracking the developments for the last 6 days. You've been in London. And this, of course, was a bit of history that we have witnessed today. King Charles III has now, of course, been crowned as the King of the United Kingdom.
Indeed, an event that's taking place after 70 years, after months of preparations. It did stand out for multiple reasons, Saleh, and the reasons vary depending on who you ask. If you look at just the fact that this one saw 2,000 guests as compared to the last one in 1953, where there were 8,000 guests. So just one-fourth the number of the previous ceremony. But having said that, that's just one aspect of how this was a ceremony that was slightly different from the previous one. In terms of the fact that King Charles chose to reuse historic items, the very fact that a female clergy played a prominent role. We also had leaders of different faiths being an integral part of the ceremony. Beyond that, there was a quintessential pomp and grandeur and splendor that comes with all of these royal traditions and ceremonies, the various aspects of the ceremony that we have been highlighting for our viewers as well. And what a day it's been. As predicted, rain did not dampen the spirits of the people on the ground. In fact, ahead of the ceremony, they were camping overnight just to catch a glimpse of the royal couple as they made their way from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. There were protests as well, as anticipated. There were 6 arrests made. In fact, they were leaders of the anti-monarchy group Republic.
Right.
10,000, over 11,000 police officers made sure that the ceremony went ahead smoothly. Absolutely. And the very fact that it came at a time when the UK is dealing with a cost of living crisis remains a continuing topic of discussion.
Absolutely, indeed, Molly. Do continue to stay on with us. And Vikram, if I can bring you in on this now. This is, of course, a discussion which I'm pretty sure people in Britain will, of course, have. But today was an extremely important day, especially for the British monarchy. There are people within Britain who probably say, is it time for Britain to, in fact, take a hard relook at the institution of monarchy? Does it still remain relevant for us in the 21st century? And looking at what we've witnessed today, the people of Britain, it appears, they still think that the monarchy is still very relevant for them. What's your take on this?
Well, it's a simple matter if you look at any of the polling. Yes, people criticize the monarchy. There are a lot of people, especially among the young, who say maybe it's not really relevant. People often get tired of the feuding and the fighting and the soap opera around the monarchy. But if you actually come down to it and do a scientific opinion poll and ask the people of Britain, would you like to do away with the monarchy and move to a republican system of government? The vast majority have always said no. And today was about spectacle. Today was about pageantry. Today was about fun. Now, as Molly was saying, it did rain. It literally rained on the parade, and that dampened spirits a little bit. But I can tell you, if you look behind me, this is what the people of London are really looking forward to over the next couple of days as well. These are garden parties, performances that are going to be taking place. People are gathering, coming together, having a drink or two, and celebrating. If it wasn't for the fact that it's still raining a little bit, it was a nice, bright, warm May evening. I can assure you that this entire arena behind me would be completely packed. Hey, let's hope that the rain stays away the next couple of days, because you can expect a lot of garden parties and street parties on Monday as well.
Absolutely, indeed. And even if it rains, the people of Britain, of course, have shown in London that even if it rains, it's not going to wash it out. People will still turn out to take part in the festivities of the coronation. And let me also now bring in Cameron Walker, who's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Mr. Walker, this was quite an extraordinary spectacle that we witnessed. It's been 70 years that we've witnessed a spectacle of this nature and of this scale. But, you know, a lot of people on social media are talking something very interesting, and this is about the Conservative leader, Penny Mordaunt, who seems to have, you know, created quite a bit of a stir during the coronation ceremony as she presented the royal swords to King Charles III. And with that, by virtue of that, she's also become probably the first woman ever in British history to have presented the royal sword to the king at the time of the coronation ceremony.
Yes, I think a lot of people on social media are commenting on her outfits. Of course, she looked amazing. And you're right, I think she was the first female to present the jeweled sword to His Majesty. The reason being is she is the current president of the Privy Council here in the United Kingdom, that body which, of course, the king that advises the king on matters of state and government as well. And if you remember, during the King's Accession Council, just a few days after he became king upon the death of Queen Elizabeth II, it was Penny Mordaunt who actually presided over those proceedings and asked King Charles to pledge his allegiance to the country and indeed read his oath as well. So, and they have a monthly meeting as well, so they would have become familiar with each other over the last few months. But I think a lot of people were surprised that Penny Mordaunt had such a prominent role, because we haven't seen a coronation for 70 years. So people are not familiar with the idea that the president of the Privy Council would be so involved in this.
Absolutely, indeed. And Mr. Walker, if I could just persist with you on one more very interesting issue of this coronation. In this coronation, the common people of Britain also have to swear their allegiance to their King Charles III. You know, how did this go down with the common public of Britain to swear their allegiance to an unelected leader?
Yes, when this was announced last week, it went down pretty badly, I think, with a lot of people. And I think the problem was that what was written in the text was calling upon the people of this country and the other realms and territories where the king is head of state to swear their allegiance to him. And because of the backlash, Lambeth Palace, which is the Archbishop of Canterbury's official residence, had to backtrack a little bit, and they changed the wording to say, we invite those who wish to pledge their allegiance can do so. Very similar to the national anthem here in the United Kingdom, which is, of course, God Save the King. If you don't wish to sing it, you're not forced to. And they're maintaining this idea that it was always only an option for those who wish to do it. But the problem is, they wrote in the text originally, it was calling upon the people, and the king and the government would have had to have signed off on that text. But all in all, I think most people, having seen how it played out in the ceremony today, are not too upset by it.
All right, very interesting. Vikram, if I can bring you in for the last question, because we're almost completely out of time. You know, the institution of monarchy to a very large extent also depends upon the personality of the monarch. Now, Queen Elizabeth II was very successful in keeping her royal family together and also had the affection of the people of Britain. But looking at what has happened with King Charles's own family, where he's not got along really well with his second son, and also, you know, the fact that the feud was out in public domain, and also the fact that today, you know, Prince Harry was not at the royal balcony after the coronation ceremony. Do you think, you know, King Charles will be successful in keeping his family together?
Well, look, I think there's no doubt that Queen Elizabeth was a monumental figure on the world stage. Her popularity was off the charts, and that's one of the major reasons why the monarchy has survived all the ups and downs of the last 70 years. King Charles, not necessarily, nowhere close to being as popular as his mother was, but his popularity has risen in recent times. Let's also not forget that the Prince of Wales, William, is actually extremely popular, as is Kate Middleton, and that might keep the monarchy going forward. I think you can expect to see King Charles, though, putting his own writ in certain areas which matter to him. And today, again, at the coronation, there were those signals towards greater inclusion, showing that this is a very different country, a much more multicultural, multi-ethnic country than it was 70 years ago. The fact that there was actually in the oath, it wasn't just an oath to the church, he also said it will be a place where all faiths can practice their worship. So all of those signals are things that King Charles is putting forward, may also cement his popularity a bit.
All right, very interesting there, but I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much indeed to my colleague Molly Gambhir, to Vikram Chandra, and also to Cameron Walker for joining us in this broadcast. So the coronation ceremony of King Charles III is, of course, over, but the coronation party is not over. And that, of course, will go on late into the evening in London.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.